Surendran is,
Yes, sir, he is there.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Surendran is there.
Hello, sir. I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there.
Shall we start then? Okay.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Very good afternoon, one and all present here. I welcome everyone for my scholar, Mr. Santosh Krishna's PhD Viva. I am very happy to welcome the Indian examiner, Dr. V. Swaminathan, currently working as a professor in Electronics and Engineering Department, Pondicherry Engineering College. And his short profile is he has graduated in 1992 from ECE, Pondicherry Engineering College. Then his master's also from Pondicherry Engineering College in 1994. He has completed his PhD in 2006. Currently, he is working in professor in PEC department, Pondicherry Engineering College. He has published more than 50 publications in various journals. And his research area is wireless communication, optical networks, VLSI design. And he has delivered many guest lectures in optical networks. I am very happy to introduce and welcome you, Dr. Swaminathan, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Next, our subject expert, Dr. P. Surendran. Dr. P. Surendran is Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Pondicherry. He has graduated his UG from Sona College of Technology, Salem, in the year 2002, and MTech from VIT, Vellore, in 2004. And he got the doctoral degree, the PhD from NIT Trichy in the year 2012. And currently he is working as associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Pondicherry. And he has also published more than 40 publications. His area of interest are image and video processing, medical imaging, data mining, and he's also guiding, both examiners are guiding many PhDs. I am very happy to welcome both examiners, and I am very happy to welcome Dr. Sedu Karasi, Professor and Head, Department of Computer Science Engineering, RMK Engineering College. He is a research coordinator. And I am also happy to welcome all my scholars and all participants. Today, Mr. Santosh Krishna going to present his thesis for public viva wise. So first he present his thesis, then we have a question sessions. So now I request Mr. Santosh Krishna present his thesis. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good morning to all. I will start sharing the screen. A warm welcome to Dr. V. Swaminathan, sir, Professor, Pondicherry Engineering College, Pondicherry, and my subject expert, Dr. V. Surendran, sir, Associate Professor, National Institute of Technology, Pondicherry, all the faculties, research scholars, and PG scholars. I welcome you all to my presentation on unsupervised and supervised retinal vessel extraction methods from the fundus images. And myself, Santosh Krishna, research scholar at Anna University. My supervisor, Dr. T. Gnanasekaran, sir, Professor, RMK Engineering College, Chennai. And my research coordinator, Dr. T. Sedu Karasi, ma'am, Professor, RMK Engineering College, Chennai. And my presentation outline is as follows. First, I'll be introducing to the research problem, followed by the research direction. Then I'll be discussing about various literature reviews. Then the proposed works. I have proposed 3 works. Those 3 works will be presented along with the results and discussion, followed by conclusion and future work. With this, my presentation will end. Then I'll be concentrating on my publications, references, and examiner comments and the corrections which are incorporated. This will be the presentation outline for this today. First, let me start with the introduction to research problem. The buzzing word for my research is blindness. According to World Health Organization, 253 million people live with vision impairment. In that, 36 million people are blind, and almost 217 million people have moderate to severe vision impairment. My concentration is on 81% of people who are blind or have moderate or severe vision impairment or aged 50 years and above. In 2020, it is estimated that 38.5 million people are almost blind, and by 2050, 115 million people are expected to be blind. 90% of people who are with visual impairments live in developing countries. Most importantly, in India, 45% of the patients who are attending the eye units with diabetic retinopathy have already lost their vision, or they're almost in the verge to lose the vision before the condition is being diagnosed. This is a survey which is given by the World Health Organization. So my concentration is on the 45% of the patients who are attending the eye units, or almost they are losing the visions because of the diabetic retinopathy problems, or either maybe the cataract problem due to various retinal diseases. Next, talking about retinal pathologies, I'll be concentrating more on two pathologies which are related to the retinal vessels. First one is about the diabetic retinopathy, which is the leading cause of blindness in the working age of people. Here, diabetic retinopathy results from damage to the blood vessels of the retina, the photographic film of the eye. So initially, this diabetic retinopathy is completely asymptomatic. If it is not treated early, it can also cause low vision and also blindness to the people. So this is the main problem with the retinal vessels. Retinal vessels, if it is not taken care, it may lead to diabetic retinopathy in the case of diabetic patients. And also the second one is retinal pathologies, is retinopathy of prematurity. This is very much disturbing case where even the infants, just newborn infants, the preterm newborn infants are being affected by the retinopathy of prematurity. This is the disease which affects the premature infants and is an important cause of childhood blindness in many not even developing countries, in developed countries also. This results due to the damage of retina or due to the incomplete development of the retinal blood vessels prior to birth. Kids who are around 28 weeks gestational period are developing this retinopathy of prematurity, and 60% of the infants born at 28 to 31 weeks also develop this retinopathy of prematurity. If this has been diagnosed very quickly, then many problems can be avoided. Not only these two problems, the cataract problem is also there for the retinal blood vessel disturbances. The major challenges in this retinal vessel extraction is in both the ophthalmological as well as the cardiovascular disease diagnosis. The retinal blood vessels are playing the very major role. Even the tiny vessels, tiny blood vessels, which are very small in size, are playing a very major role in finding out the ophthalmological as well as the cardiovascular diseases. These ophthalmologists require more time to monitor, or continuous monitoring is required. If this disease is not diagnosed properly at the correct time, it may lead to blindness. To prevent the vision loss, we need to go for the automated detection of pathologies from these fundus images. So automatic extraction of retinal blood vessels is the fundamental step of finding out the automated systems for the disease diagnosis. Next, going to research direction. This is the anatomical structure of the retina, where of the eye, where there are a number of parts like retina, optic nerve, macula, blood vessels, retinal blood vessels, vitreous body, cornea, pupil, lens, sclera. All these parts are there. In this, the main problem is the presence of pathological structures along with the other normal structures. The second one is the variability in width and length of the vessels, and the poor contrast between the vessels and the background, and the existence of central light reflex artifact in the large size vessels, the presence of occlusion between the vessels, and the presence of noise and non-uniform illumination. Because of all these factors, the segmentation of the retinal blood vessels is becoming a very major cause. Now, to solve this, I have three objectives. The first objective is to propose an unsupervised morphological approach for automatically extracting blood vessels from the retinal fundus images. This method I call it as UMR method. Second method is to propose an unsupervised automated framework for the extraction of retinal vessels by using enhanced filtering and Heysen-based method with hysteresis thresholding. I'll call this method as UEHT method. The last one is to propose a supervised technique for blood vessel extraction in retinal images based on modified AdaBoost extreme learning machine algorithm. Next, concentrating on the literature review. The retinal vessel segmentation techniques are classified into three types. First one is pattern recognition technique. Second one is model-based approach. The third one is vessel tracking approaches. These are the three main classifications of the retinal vessel segmentation techniques in the literature. In this pattern recognition techniques are classified into two types. One is unsupervised methods, other one is supervised method. Under the unsupervised method, we have methods like multi-scale method, mathematical morphology method, matched filtering method, and the region growing method. In the case of supervised methods, we have methods called as neural networks method and ensemble classification. And these are the literature reviews which I verified. First one is about the retinal image analysis using the curvelet transform and multi-structure elements morphology by reconstruction, proposed by Fraz et al. This is concentrating about the contrast enhancement is done using the FDCT method, and for detecting the blood vessels, edges, multi-structures, morphological transformation is applied. They have tested with the DRIVE database, which is the standard. Sorry, sir. May I proceed, sir?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, sir. So they have tested with the DRIVE database. The accuracy is achieved is very less comparing to other methods, and they have not tested with any abnormal data set. They have tested with only the DRIVE dataset, which is a standard dataset. The second method is proposed by Merian. It is an approach to localize the retinal blood vessels using bit planes and center line detection. Here in this method, the morphological multidirectional top-hat transformation is used for segmenting the retinal blood vessels, and they have achieved the accuracy of 94.3% and sensitivity of 71.5% and specificity up to 97.7%. The accuracy achieved is comparatively less, and also they have not tested with the abnormal data set. They have tested only with the DRIVE data set, which is having 20 images. Out of 20 images, only 7 images are having mild diabetic retinopathy symptoms. Other images are all very standard images, which are healthy images. Next method is proposed by Fraz. It is application of morphological bit planes in retinal blood vessel extraction. It is proposed like the skeleton of blood vessels is computed, and the complete segmented vascular images obtained by a sequence of morphological operations on the green channel. Here the accuracy achieved is 94.23% and precision is 0.8%, and less accuracy, and they have not even considered the sensitivity and specificity parameters to compute this one. The next method is automatic segmentation of retinal blood vessels based on improved multi-scale line detection. Here in this method, they have concentrated on optic disc also and then the retinal vessel segmentation also. Both they have concentrated, and they have used a rotating structuring element here. Here they have not concentrated on pathological images at all. They have concentrated only upon the healthy images. And the next method is proposed by the Imani et al. It is improvement of retinal blood vessels detection using morphological component analysis. Here in this method, a Morlet wavelet transform is applied to enhance the retinal vessels. Here the final vessel map is completely obtained by using the adaptive thresholding technique. It is a single fold thresholding technique they have used. Here they does not perform well when they have low contrast. The contrast enhancement techniques are not used here in this method. The next method is proposed by Badr Khan. It is a morphological Hessian-based approach for retinal blood vessel segmentations and denoising using region-based Otsu thresholding. Here they have proposed a less computational unsupervised automated segmentation technique with promising results. The results are very good in this one. They have achieved accuracy of 96.075%, but here the problem is they have treated everything, all the blood vessels like small vessels or big vessels, thin vessels or wide vessels, everything they have concentrated uniformly, fairly they have done the extraction by extraction. So here the minute information was missing, which is present in the retinal blood vessels. The next method proposed by Zhou et al. Is retinal vessel segmentation and color fundus images using extreme learning machine. Here they have proposed a supervised technique using 39-dimensional classification vector functions. Here to create the dimensional vectors for each pixels, a selection of pixel frequency, phase concurrence, morphological transformation, vessel features, eason, and gradient vector fields I have used. Here they have achieved the accuracy of 96.07%. Here the accuracy is good, but they have used only, apart from the standard data set, they have used only one new data set, which is a Chinese database, which is having only 15 images. Out of 15 images, only some 8 images are having the pathological structures. From the inference or from the survey, we are concentrating on the.
Sandosh, switch on your video.
Yes, sir.
Your video is muted. Yeah, okay.
Is it okay, sir?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Please.
So here from the inference survey, we are concentrating on all the vessel pixels. Sorry, one more slide. From the survey, the mathematical morphology has revealed itself as a very useful digital image processing technique for quantifying the retinal pathologies. Here, the morphological based methods do not perform well when vessels have very low contrast and different diameters. And to overcome the shortcomings of the low contrast, poor illumination, many have used the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization technique for the enhancement, and supervised methods shows better performance over the unsupervised methods. And here all the vessel pixels are treated very fairly by existing methods. Hence, thin vessels which are having very least significance have been given, which is having more prominence, which has not been concentrated much on the treatment of the thin vessels and wide vessels separately. And ELM based methods are best suited for retinal segmentation techniques. Here only very few literatures have tested the algorithms with pathological images, where most of the literatures, they have concentrated or completely on the standard database, which is consisting of mostly the healthy images. Now, concentrating on the next proposed methods, the first method is an unsupervised morphological approach for automatically extracting blood vessels from retinal fundus images. It is an UMAR method. Here, what happens is, first, a fundus image is taken. The fundus image, first the green channel of the fundus image has been extracted, because the green channel shows the more disparity among the other R and blue channels. So green channel has been extracted. From the green channel extracted image, the contrast has been enhanced using the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization. Then smoothing of the image is being done using mean filtering with Gaussian kernel. Then modified top hat transform is used. Then we are using the hysteresis thresholding to segment the, which is a twofold thresholding method to segment the retinal blood vessels. Then for the post-processing technique, we are using a kernel filtering. Finally, the segmented image is being compared with the ground truth image, which has already been segmented by an expert, to measure the performance like sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy. Like first part is that RGB to green channel image. Pre-processing is the first step carried out here as the initial step in the image segmentation. Since the here unsupervised methods, we do not want to go for any sort of training, so we'll go with mostly pre-processing technique here. This pre-processing will completely dilute the non-uniform illumination of images during the image acquisition and removes the noise which is present here. Here we can observe that the RGB image is there, red plane, green plane, blue plane is there. Here if you see red, green and blue planes, the green plane shows more disparity with the blood vessels and surroundings over the remaining two color components, red and blue. So we completely, for our three methods, will be using only the green channel images. Hence the retinal features are clearer in the green channel image. That is why we are going to use the green channel image. Next one is contrast stretching for enriching the disparity of blood vessels. Contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization method is used. This method will improve the vessel structure by cutting the histogram at some threshold and equalizing by avoiding the amplification of noise. Here, the Clatchy used is a user-defined clip limits are used in the case of the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization. Then for the smoothing of the image, we go with the smoothing filters like mean filtering with Gaussian kernel filtering is used. This mean filtering is very simple filtering method where 3x3 size is followed by a Gaussian kernel of size 3x3, both the standard deviation of 1.5. Here in this Gaussian kernel is used to remove the noise. The complete background noise image is generated and separated, and that is subtracted from the former image, which results in the homogenization of the background image. Then the enhancement of the vessels is being done using the mathematical morphology method, where we are using the top hat transform method. Here, the morphology completely deals with the shapes. The morphological image processing is performed by sliding a structuring element over an image. Here, we are using a disc-shaped structuring element as a structuring element here. On the complete binary image, the fundamental operations of mathematical morphology, such as dilation, which is dilating the boundary, erosion, eroding the boundary, and opening and closing operations, which are nothing but the erosion followed by dilation and dilation followed by erosion, is used. On the gray level of the image, dilation brightens the small dark areas. This darkening of the small bright areas like noise which is done completely by erosion and removal of small bright spots. This closing operations are used to brighten the small darker area and removes the complete small dark holes. Here the complete noise sensitivity, here where we have modified the top white hat transformation. Here the noise sensitivity is one of the problems in implementing the top hat transform that results in a condition that in an image that is opened, values are always fewer than or equal to the input ones. In such conditions, the subtracted image holds modest intensity variations that can set up the data. Here this modified top hat transformation method, G is the green input channel image, which we have taken from the RGB image. Then EC and E0 are nothing but the structuring, disc shaped structuring elements for both the closing and opening operators with the radius of 8 pixels has been taken. So minimum, if it is less than 8 pixels, we will be able to concentrate on the vessels. It may be either thin vessels or wide vessels. We will be able to concentrate on the vessels, subtracting the background noise. Then we are going with the hysteresis thresholding method. Why do we go with this hysteresis thresholding method is comparing to normal thresholding method, which is a single thresholding method, which is there in the literatures. This hysteresis thresholding method performs better because here we are using a two-fold thresholding method where we are having the two limits for gray values in the intensity of the image. So because two-fold thresholding procedure performs better than a single thresholding method because in some cases where the intensity of the objects at some places is maximum, but in some places it is minimum. So there is a variation between the maximum and minimum. So we are using a upper threshold and the lower threshold. Two-fold of threshold variations are used in the case of hysteresis thresholding method. After this, we are going with the post-processing technique where post-processing is completely clearing up of the noise levels which are existing due to the segmentation process. Here, a small kernel with morphological closing operator of 3x3 size is used for smoothing the boundaries and object size to remove the small, which are undesired objects. The data set which is used to do this process is two databases are used in this algorithms. First one is Drive dataset. This Drive dataset has been is a standard dataset which is having 20 images. Drive stands for digital retinal images for vessel extraction dataset. In this 20 images, 14 images are all healthy images and 7 images are having mild retinopathy, diabetic retinopathy symptoms is there. For the performance metrics in the retinal vessel segmentation process, for the performance metrics, we have the vessel classification table. Here, this vessel classification table is true positive, false negative, and true negative. With this 4 values only, we'll be able to calculate the accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity. What is this true positive means? A pixel which is marked as true positive when both ground truth image, which is nothing but the standard image, and the segmented image, which is segmented by us, both identify a vessel as a vessel. In that case, we call this as a true positive. If it is false positive, when it is marked as vessel only in the segmented image, this image which we have segmented, only in that case it is marked as a false positive. But in the original image, which is the standard image, there is no. Sorry, sir. Can you continue, sir?
Please continue. Sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It is a false positive when a pixel is marked as false positive when it is marked as vessel only in the segmented image and not in the ground truth image. So, what is false negative means? And false negative is nothing but a pixel which is marked as false negative when it is not marked as vessel in the segmented image. But there is a vessel which is present in the original image, but in the segmented image, what we have done, it is not marked as a vessel. Then we call that as a false negative. What is true negative is a pixel is marked as a true negative when it is not marked as vessel, both in the segmented image as well as the ground truth image. When both the images do not mark as vessel, it is called as true negative. So this pixel classification table is commonly used for all the 3 methods. It's a standard one. Here, the accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity. Accuracy is nothing but it quantifies the ratio of rightly categorized pixels, both vessels as well as non-vessels, to the aggregated quantity of pixels within the field of view. Whereas sensitivity is representing the effectiveness in detection of pixels with positive values, that is visual pixels, and specificity represents the effectiveness in figuring out the background pixels, that is non-visual pixels. So these three methods, these three are the parameters which are used to assess the parameters: accuracy, which is true positive plus true negative, divided by all the other things: true positive plus false positive plus true negative plus false negative. It is our accuracy. Then sensitivity is nothing but true positive divided by true positive plus false negative, and the specificity is true negative divided by true negative plus false positive is the performance metrics of accuracy, sensitivity, and the specificity. Based upon these accuracies, we have taken a sample output here. Here the original fundus images is shown here. Here the original fundus image is shown. In this, from the original fundus image, the green channel image is taken and it has been enhanced using the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization. Then we are using this mean filtering for the smoothing of the image. Then we are going with that reconstruction by dilation and erosion. That is nothing but the mathematical morphological operations are used here. Then we are showing that output after the thresholding. So this is thresholding. What is the output? And here this is the field of view mask, which is used to calculate the segmented image parameters. Beyond this, whatever results are there, that will not be considered. This FOV mask and the RGB image and the ground truth image, all these three images will be present in the data set. And here the results are the results obtained using our UMARC method, where 20 images from the data set, all the 20 images are taken. Here, since it is an unsupervised method, we do not go with any sort of training here. Just the algorithm will test the images, and it has been given that the sensitivity is 72.81% and specificity is 96.84%, and accuracy we have achieved 95.95%. That's the accuracy which is obtained by the UMARC method. Okay, this is the publication related to this work. We have published the work in the Intelligent Systems and Computing book publication, which is given by Springer. Second method is an unsupervised automated framework for the extraction of retinal vessels by using enhanced filtering and reason-based method with hysteresis thresholding technique. Why do we go with this method is, as I said, that in the literature there is a gap, like most of the methods are concentrating the thin vessels as well as the wide vessels in a fair manner, where there is no specific division between the thin vessels and wide vessels. They're not extracting separately. They're not concentrating more on the thin vessels and wide vessels, because more pathological images having the very small micro level vessels, these vessels should be given more care. And that is why this work in novel automatic blood vessel segmentation is introduced that can be extended for the diagnosis of various pathologies of the eye. This method can be extended to find out various pathologies of the eyes. Here in this method, first we are concentrating upon the RGB fundus image. The first three processes is nothing but the pre-processing method, where the RGB fundus image green channel has been extracted from the RGB fundus image. Then contrast has been improved with the help of the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization. Then Gaussian filters are used to smoothing of the image. Up to this step, this is common from the previous method also. From here, we are using the Eason matrix and eigenvalues approach. This Eason matrix and the just a second, sir. Sorry, sir. Here the operation is as follows. Like here, Eason matrix and eigenvalues are used to separate the wide vessels and the thin vessels separately. Here you go with the second order derivative to find out the wide vessels enhancement and the thin vessel enhancement images separately. After that, we go with the outsource thresholding method. This is a also local thresholding method we are using to separate. We are separately applying this outsource thresholding for the wide vessels separately and the thin vessels were separately we're applying, and then both these images are fused together using a logical operation. Then we are going with the hysteresis thresholding, which is again a twofold thresholding method. From there, morphological operations are used for removing out any sort of disturbances which is present, noise is present, we are removing it. Then the segmented image is being compared with the ground truth image to assess the parameters. From the step-by-step process, we'll go with now. First one is a pre-processing phase, where the RGB to green channel image is the first channel phase we are doing it. Because the green channel image, as I said earlier, green channel images having a more disparity among the red and the blue channels. Hence, we go with the green channel image. Then we are going with the contrast enhancement technique. Here, again, the same standard technique is used, contrast emitted adaptive histogram equalization method, which is the enhancement of the adaptive histogram equalization method, where the complete whole image, it's very important, the complete whole image is subdivided into contextual areas which are further enhanced individually rather than applying for the whole image. Instead of applying this technique for the whole image, we are subdividing the image and then concentrating on using this contrast emitted adaptive histogram equalization method individually. Then the Gaussian matcher filters are used to reduce the noises and smoothing of the image. Gaussian matcher filtering is used. Then the second phase is the Bessel enhancement phase. In the case of Bessel enhancement phase, here after applying the Gaussian filtering, Hesser matrix and eigenvalues are used to obtain the wide Bessels and thin Bessels separately. Here completely two different scales are taken. By taking the second order derivative, we are taking the two different scales. With the help of the two different scales, we are able to segregate the wide Bessels and the thin Bessels separately. Okay, unlike traditional eigenvalues approach normally, in which the Besselness feature is calculated and then the segmentation is done. Here in this proposed method, we have considered a dark Bessel structure in the brighter background as a lambda2 values and low eigenvalues for the brighter structures. Okay, then the difference between the two eigenvalues have been taken, with the difference image has been calculated, and by using this approach, the wide Bessels and thin Bessels can be easily separated in suppression for non-vascular structure and further enhancement. Here we can observe that we have compared our enhanced image with the Frankis filter image, where qualitatively we'll be able to see that we are having more disparity among the Bessels than the Frankis method. Then next step is Bessel detection phase. After the enhancement, we are going with the detection phase. Here we are applying the Oorthu's thresholding method, which is generally used to reduce the undesired noise along with the geometrical objects based on vessel structure. Here the vessels will be more visible when we use this Oorthu's thresholding method. Here we are applying the local thresholding to both the wide Bessels and the thin Bessels separately rather than applying it to the whole image. As in most of the methods, it is applied to the whole image. Here we are applying it separately for the thin Bessels and the wide Bessels. Then both these wide Bessels and thin Bessels enhanced images are completely fused using a logical OR operator. And these are the results obtained with that also based inputs. Now outputs fundus image has been shown here. Here wide Bessels and thin Bessels has been separated, and then both these vessels have been fused together, as well as the last picture can be seen. Here we are using the hysteresis thresholding method. It's a bifolded thresholding method that makes use of limits of gray values within the intensity of the image for thresholding. Then the last step is the post-processing phase. Here in the case of post-processing phase, is two-step morphological post-processing is done. First step is to fill the holes in the identified blood vessels, and then the second step is to eliminate the falsely detected isolated pixels completely. Here it is 8-point connectivity. As I told that in the earlier method also we have used the 8 pixels based method. Here also we are using the 8-point connectivity, is considered in which pixels as a minimum of 8 neighbors as vessel points are classified as vessel pixels. The 8 members of the neighbors, their pixels are there, then they are considered as the vessel pixels. Again, here we have, in this method we have used 2 data sets. One is a standard data set which is used by maximum all the authors. Here the first one is the drive data set. As explained, it is 20 images from drive data set, which is having 20 images, 14 images with the normal images, and other 6 to 7 images having the mild diabetic retinopathy symptoms. The second image is the data set image which I have used particularly, which is having the more pathological images. It is a DR Haggis dataset. Here, this dataset is having diabetic retinopathy images, hypertension images, age-related macular degeneration images, as well as the glaucoma images. All these images, 10 images of each category is being given in this dataset, DR Haggis dataset, where that the glaucoma is of 1 to 10 images of glaucoma, and 11 to 20 images are of hypertension images, and 21 to 30 number of images are diabetic retinopathy images, and age-related macular degeneration is having 10 images from 31 to 40 images. Okay. Also, in this database, they have given the manually segmented, that is ground truth images has been provided for all the images, which will help us to evaluate our method. Here, these are the experimental results from the DRIVE dataset and the Haggis dataset. Here, we have shown this the DR Haggis database here. First one is that image which is having the pathology. We can see that the image is having a pathology. That pathology has been detected in the final stage as a pathology with a segmented output. We are able to find out the pathology in the image also. Okay, this is why this is how we are using this UEHT method. And in the case of DRIVE database, again the accuracy is improved. It is 96.01% and sensitivity is 75.73% and specificity is 97.92% has been obtained. For the different classifications of images, differently has been classified. Differently, I have shown it. For the glaucoma group, the average values are 75.47% sensitivity, and specificity it is 95.56% specificity, and accuracy it is 94.84 as the accuracy. In the case of hypertension group, it is of average values are 95.94 sensitivity, specificity is 94.99%, and accuracy is again 94.29 as the accuracy for the hypertension group. Next, diabetic retinopathy group, the average values are sensitivity is 79.03% and specificity is 95.47 and accuracy is 94.87. And in the case of AMD group, age-related macular degeneration group, it is 68.01% of sensitivity, specificity it is 96.04% and accuracy it is 95.01%. Here, I have done the average of all the images. From the table, I have just taken all the images and I have drawn a graph for that, where we can see that here all the images from the DR Haggis database from the image values 1 to 10 has been shown how the values have been came from each image wise as it has been given for all these things. And on the average, on performance with the DR Haggis database, we are able to achieve 94.75%. That is, with the complete pathological data set, we were able to achieve with our method 94% accuracy with the pathological images, where individually it is 95.01% for AMD, and diabetic retinopathy it is 94.87%, and hypertension it is 94.29%, and glaucoma it is 94.84%. Here, this has been recorded in publication, unsupervised automated retinal extraction methods using enhanced filtering and reason-based method with suspicious thresholding in Journal of Medical Imaging and Health Informatics. It is an SCI index journal with an impact factor of 0.549. The third method is an unsupervised technique for blood vessel extraction in retinal images based on modified AdaBoost extreme learning machine algorithm. Here in this method, firstly, we are concentrating. Previous two methods were unsupervised methods where we do not go with any sort of training, just we'll go with the testing methods. Here in this method, we are going with the training with the testing. So it is a supervised method where a set of 40 core features are extracted, 40 core features are extracted, and the best features are selected using this minimal redundancy and maximum relevance algorithm. We're able to take the best features, and these best features are being trained using this modified ELM, modified extreme learning machine algorithm with AdaBoost classification. Both ELM, basic ELM, and the AdaBoost classifier have been combined together to segment it as vessel and non-vessels. Then the output of the classifier is a binary retinal vascular image. Using the ground truth image as reference, accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity are calculated. Here in this method, we are going with first, we will train them, we will go with the pre-processing method where the contrast adaptive equalization techniques are used. Then the 40 features are been extracted, morphological transformations and Hessian features, local features of 29 features, and Hogg features and HLAC features are generated, taken, and these features from these 40 features, 15 best features have been extracted from the minimum redundancy maximum relevance method. We are able to extract these 15 dimensional features, and these features have been given to a modified extreme learning machine with an AdaBoost classification, and this has been segmented using the ground truth image, and this is why training is being done. After training phase, we go with the testing phase where the image which has been just to be taken for test, it has been taken, pre-processed, and again these features are extracted and it is compared, and then using that MRMR method, we are able to extract the features, and using the AdaBoost classification, already our ELM has been trained to classify the segments, and then the image is being segmented. Here, the first step is the pre-processing step. In the case of pre-processing step, processing step, the central light reflex. Earlier, we were concentrating only on the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization. Here, we are using the green channel image for, and also we are removing the central light reflex. A filtering procedure is implemented over the green channel image using a morphological opening as a structuring element with a 3 pixel diameter. These 3 pixels are classified so that the thin vessels as well as the wide vessels will able to segregate both the vessels. Then the background homogenization has been done. Here, using the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization, the excessive noise has been removed and it is being smoothened using the artifacts and boundaries produced due to the camera's effects. All these things will be removed using this pre-processing stage. After the pre-processing stage, we are going with the feature extraction of the features. Here, various features, local features of intensity of one feature, and we are able to find out the Gaussian features of 4 features, and first order derivatives of 8 features, and second order of 12 features are being taken. Similarly, using the morphological transformation methods, we are able to find out 6. We are using the 6 scales to weight the 6 features, and Hessian features have been taken by calculating the Visionless measure and the Forbidden norm. We are able to calculate the Hessian features. Then histogram of gradients. That is, the image is completely fragmented into tiny connected cells, and thus the pixels within each cell are plotted using the histogram equalization method. Histogram equalization. Then we are using the high level like features where the local high order autocorrelation feature is used. Only one feature has been taken from the autocorrelation. It is computed from the higher order autocorrelation of the second order derivative. Using the reference pixels, we are able to find out the features, and these 40 extracted features have been selected. From this, we are selecting the 15 features using the minimal redundancy and maximal relevance method, MRMR method. Will be able to find out these features which are very relevant features. Okay, then we are using the modified AdaBoost extreme learning machine. That is an extreme learning machine along with that AdaBoost classifier is being trained to use this modified AdaBoost extreme learning machine. This algorithm tends to deliver the best performance. Why do we go with this modified AdaBoost extreme learning machine? Is since it is a single layer feed-forward neural network where there is no need for n number of layers to be used. So the algorithm tends to deliver the best performance in generalization at extremely very fast learning speed. Here the algorithm goes on like this. For initially the weights, we are taking the n number of training samples. Okay, here in this case we are taking 40 samples. Initially the weights of each training sample are to be set as per the class frequencies. Then for every iteration, okay, every iteration we are classifying the Q. For Q is nothing but the total number of B classifiers are being trained. Then we are able to fit a weighted ELM classifier to the training samples with sample weight. Then a corresponding weighted error is calculated. We are updating the complete samples so that the best classifier is being taken up to n number of times. To t times, we are able to repeat the same procedure. Finally, the corresponding number of B classifiers will be developed efficiently after n times, resulting in a powerful classifier, AdaBoost classifier with ELM. Using the voting system, the B classifiers are mixed linearly with the respective weight, and a powerful classifier is being acquired. Okay. With that, we are able to evaluate and in both DR Haggis database as well as the Drive database, we got the good results in this method. Here the algorithm is used on publicly good database, that is Drive and DR Haggis. Here we have to increase the computational capacity. We have used a little higher standard version of up to Intel Core 5 features. Okay, here the RGB fundus image has been taken. This is a FOV mask. Okay, then ground truth image. This is the ground truth image from the standard database. Then, yeah, this is the segmented output. From the segmented output is completely overlapped on the fundus image to show the retinal features from the first image from A to F. The features, the retinal segmented outputs have been shown here. And the segmentation results of our proposed method on Drive database is as given. The accuracy achieved is 96.19% and sensitivity is 74.35% and specificity is 98.36% achieved. And here the performance evaluation on the DR Haggis database. Here we are not shown individually for all the pathologies. Altogether average I have shown here. Here for the glaucoma it is giving us 95.35 accuracy, and for the hypertension it is given 94.84%, and for diabetic retinopathy it is giving us 95.37 accuracy, and for the age-related macular degeneration it is giving us 95.19%. On the average we are getting 95.19%. And the last publication for this work is published in Computers, Materials and Continua, that is Retinal Vessel Extraction Framework using Modified AdaBoost Extreme Learning Machine. It is a Scopus and a SCI index journal, which is there in Annexure 1, which is having the impact factor. Recent impact factor is 4.8. Impact factor is 4.8. That with the results on discussion, the complete three methods have been compared with standard methods. Both the supervised and unsupervised methods have been taken to compare our results. So here first method is an unsupervised method where it has been compared with all the proposed methods, all the existing methods. Comparing with all the existing methods, the proposed method is superior in the case of accuracy as well as the specificity. The second method, that is UEHT method, is compared with that supervised and unsupervised methods. Comparatively, even it is better than the second human observer method. Is 94.72 is the accuracy which is observed by the second human observer, that is the ground truth image. With that, the proposed method is able to achieve it is 96.01%. Accuracy has been achieved by the UEHT method. Last method is supervised method, which is a extreme learning machine algorithm method. Here in this method, the accuracy achieved is 96.19%, which is comparatively good than the other existing methods. All these three have been tested with the Drive database so that we'll be able to compare with the other methods. And here the table shows here the comparing with all the three proposed methods. It is our first method is an unsupervised method, second morphological method, second one is enhanced filtering method. It is 96.01% accuracy has been achieved, and the last 1% is a supervised method. In the case of supervised method, we'll be able to achieve 96.19% as the accuracy. And concluding on the future work, in this work, actually I have proposed three methods for retinal vessel extraction methods. First, I have proposed an unsupervised morphological approach for segmentation of retinal vessels. Here only the Drive dataset has been used. Next, second method is an unsupervised automated framework for the retinal vessel extraction. Here we are able to achieve the good results comparing to the previous one. Here I have used wide vessels and thin vessels have been segmented separately, and hysteresis thresholding method is used here. The results have been obtained using both the Drive as well as the DR Haggis datasets, and it is demonstrating the high effectiveness of the proposed method. And here, particularly in this method, we performed experiments on the high resolution images consisting of more pathology. That is, DR Haggis method is a high resolution images dataset where it was a very challenging task for us to do the executions because computationally there was difficulty in doing this. Next method is a supervised method. It is a supervised technique for retinal blood vessel segmentation based on the extraction of features, selection of features. 40 features have been extracted, and these features have been taken from the using MR method, and a modified adaptive ELM classification method is proposed. And this supervised method is proposed method is better in retinal vessel segmentation than the unsupervised methods. Okay, but even though the supervised methods are completely better, they are a little expensive in training, but they are providing more good results. Then this experimental results are showing us that the complete method, second method, third method can be developed for screening and diagnosis of various devices within some enhancements. Okay, then the next in future we have a plan to add this optic disc segmentation along with the retinal vessel segmentation, then optimization algorithms to be used for the performance improvement, and we'll be concentrating on detecting of various pathologies like diabetic retinopathy or retinopathy of prematurity. These things will be able to detected using our proposed methods with some enhancements. And the publications, as I given, I have 2 publications. Apart from the conferences, I have 2 journal publications. First publication is published in Journal of Medical Imaging and Health Informatics. It is having a 0.5 impact factor. And the second publication is Computers and Materials Continuous Journal. It is a retinal vessel extraction framework using modified adaptive algorithm. It is impact factor was 3.024 when publishing. Now it is improved to 4.57 impact factors. These are some references.
Okay,
These are the corrections.
For queries.
These are the corrections given, sir.
Yeah. Are you ready for the queries?
Yes, sir. Just a minute, sir. I'll take some water, sir. Can I stop sharing the screen, sir?
No, Santosh Krishna, you can
show the
remaining slides. Just go through.
show the other slides also.
Yes, sir.
No. Okay, next slide. Do you have any other slide?
This is the foreign examiner comment, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Now the forum is open for queries. Participants, do you have any queries? Dean sir, Dr. Elvin sir.
Any questions from the audience?
Any queries from our scholars?
Yes, very good morning to Anandal. This is Dr. Bhaskar from SRM University. Santosh, very nice presentation. Okay, you did wonderful work. Okay, I have small clarifications.
Yes, sir.
That your claim that your work is more efficient than existing one. Okay,
Yes,
what is the criteria? What's the parameters? Suppose you are choosing
Yes,
to finalize this one.
Yes, sir. First thing is I have compared with it accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity parameters, sir. This according to the parameters, the accuracy level was very high comparing to the existing methods in the case of unsupervised method as well as the supervised methods. The second one I have evaluated with that completely pathological images, where in existing methods mostly they concentrated on the healthy images only. I have taken in database where complete pathological images of various pathologies have been taken. Then I have evaluated that and I have achieved a accuracy of 96%, and segmentation is also good, sir.
Okay, fine. Anyway, congratulate. Okay, Yeah, that's my story is over, sir. Please.
Thank
Thank
you, Dr. Bhaskar. Any other queries from participant? Otherwise, you for the exam.
I want to note that one more thing. I think the foreign examiner given highly commended. This is nice to see your work, how you are did it.
Thank you,
I
sir.
really appreciate your work.
Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
I
Thank
really
you, sir.
appreciate you as well as my supervisor, Dr. Nanasekaran sir. He has given I think lot of input to you to do this
Thank you, yes,
research
sir.
work.
Yes, sir.
So I
Yes, sir.
really congratulate both of them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. There are no questions from the participants. Professor Surendran?
Yes, sir. Shall I ask question, sir?
Please go ahead. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Santosh, nice presentation. I have
Thank you,
only
sir.
two queries.
Thank you, sir.
So what is the training testing ratio here? for the
Sorry,
class?
sir. Sorry, sir.
What is the training testing ratio?
Training testing ratio. Training ratio it is of 40 images have been taken, sir. And for the testing 20 images have been taken, sir. In the case of supervised method, but in unsupervised method, we don't have any sort of training. We are not done, sir. Only testing has been done, sir.
Okay. So why wide vessels and thin vessels are extracted separately?
Because wide vessels, it is found approximately like 75% of the vessels belong to small vessels when the thickness is taken as less than 3 pixels. Sir. All the vessel pixels are treated fairly in all the existing methods. So because of this, minute level of information has been lost. So I have taken wide vessels and thin vessels separately and segmented, sir.
Okay. So why you choose the thresholding method?
Because thresholding method, we have chosen the hysteresis thresholding method, sir. Since hysteresis thresholding method is a high threshold that allows a group of pixels to be classified as edge points without using the connectivity information. Even without any sort of connectivity information, we'll be able to segment it properly, sir, as well as it is a two-fold operation. There is two limits of gray values in the intensity of the image. Since it is a two-fold threshold procedure, it will work better than the single thresholding method in some situations where the object intensity is maximum in some places, whereas in some places the object intensity is less. In this case, this two-fold thresholding method where upper threshold and lower threshold has been considered, will be able to threshold it properly and able to segment the vessels, sir.
Okay. And why do you choose Clatch algorithm, CLHE?
Yes, sir. Because I've used the contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization method to improve the contrast, sir. Because the images are taken from the different types of cameras. To improve the contrast, I've used this Clatch algorithm, sir. Contrast limited adaptive histogram equalization algorithm. It is an improved version of the adaptive histogram equalization algorithm, sir.
Okay. How many inputs and hidden layers in your ELM method?
Actually, I have taken totally 4 inputs and 4 outputs layers, sir. But in the case of the ELM algorithm, we'll be able to add a number of hidden layers. But it is a single layer feed-forward neural networks, so it is better to use a single layers feed-forward neural networks, sir. Since ELM, if it is a deep learning method, I can go with the n number of layers. Since it is an ELM method, it is better to use a single layer feed-forward neural networks, sir.
Okay. Another question is, why green channel has been considered? All the literature works, they use green channel only, or they used any other different?
No, sir. Actually, in the literature, there is they have used mostly on the green channel image, sir, because disparity of the vessels are more in the case of green channel image than the red and the blue, sir. That is why we have used the green channel image.
Okay. What about any other color spaces? Actually, RGB we have used green channel. Whether the literature they used HSV or any other color spaces they use?
Yes, actually, in the case of retinal vessel segmentation, mostly nobody has used the other methods as I gone through, sir. I need to just do 1 second and check it once, sir. What happens if I use another channels?
Okay, and yeah, what is your suggestions for the other researchers for as a future work? What can be done in this?
Yes, sir. In future, actually, my idea is to have a tele-ophthalmology system, sir, where even in the primary health centers, we'll be able to have an algorithm software with retinal vessel segmentation with the optic disc segmentation, where we'll be able to combine both these segmentation techniques and we'll be able to diagnose the images. Even in the primary health centers where there is no proper facilities are there, even in that place, we will be able to take the images and send it to that expert through the software, where they'll be able to automatically extract and be able to detect what is that level of seriousness of the problem. Either it may be diabetic retinopathy or any problem, they'll be able to find it out and will be giving to the primary health centers, where even a single person will not have any sort of diabetic retinopathy eyesight problems, sir. That is my objective. It can be done, sir. For our India, it is most important, sir.
That's all from my side, sir.
Oh, thank you, Professor Surendran. Mr. Santosh Krishna.
Yes, sir.
I also joined with the subject expert in appreciating you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Presentation was very nice. Can you go to the slide number 24?
Yes, sir.
The block diagram of your first approach.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is the one, yeah.
The slide number 24.
1 second, sir.
Oh, not you can do it relaxed. Relaxed,
Yes, sir.
no problem. Yeah. And you also shared the slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sharing it, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yes. Now it is.
Sure,
Okay.
it is going on, sir. 1 second.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. What will happen if you use more than 2 levels of thresholding in your work?
Yes, sir. If I'm using more than 2 level of thresholding, the computational problem is there, sir. Computational complexity is there, sir.
Oh, so you have limited to dual 2 levels.
Yes, sir. Actually, in second method, I have done 2 levels, sir. Because of that, I have faced some computational complexity in running that procedure, sir. It has taken some 6 to 7 minutes for each image to run, sir. So computational complexity I faced, sir.
Okay. And with 2 levels, you are able to achieve good performance.
Good performance I will be able to achieve, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the reason for choosing this top hat transform?
Because morphological process, in the case of morphological processing, we have 2 types of transforms, sir. One is top hat, one is white hat, black hat and top hat, sir.
Okay.
White hat. Here in the case of top hat transform, we'll be able to use all sort of morphological operations, like both erosion as well as the dilation can be performed together, sir. That is why we use this modified top hat transform. Sir.
Okay. So most of your operations are in the spatial domain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you attempted any transform domain work in your?
No, sir. Actually, I need to try it. Sir. No, sir.
Okay. So these are all in the.
Yes, sir. I'll do it in that incorporate, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. And the reason for choosing the Gaussian filtering?
It is a good smoothing filter, sir. So I've used the Gaussian filters. Sir.
Okay. And go to the second block diagram. 49.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, previous page. Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
I have also asked this question. When here you have some additional blocks, isn't it?
Yes,
You
sir.
have
Yes, sir.
Bayesian matrix and Osus thresholding, etc.
Yes,
Because
sir.
of that, whether the computation time has increased when compared to
Yes, sir. Actually, because of this, I faced 2 problems, sir. One problem is computationally, I had a problem like for each image of high resolution images, it has taken more time to give the output, sir, because of this computational complexity was there, sir.
Okay. Now comparing your second and third approach.
Yes,
The
sir.
second is unsupervised, whereas third is the supervised approach. isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So between these 2 approaches,
Yes.
which approach is better for diabetic retinopathy?
So the second approach, the last approach is better to all the diabetic retinopathy as well as the retinopathy of prematurity, sir. This method is better, sir. Last method is better, sir. Supervised method, sir.
For AMD as well as
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All these supervised methods are better than the unsupervised methods, sir. That is what I observed, sir.
Okay, tell me the reason. I mean, how do you?
Because here in the case of supervised method, we are able to train the system, sir. Whereas in the case of unsupervised system, we are not going to train anything. With algorithm, raw images are going to taken and run it. So in the case of supervised methods, first we are training the TLM, and then with that training the neural network, we'll be able to give any sort of inputs, so that it will give us the accurate outputs, sir. Because since more images are given, accuracy will be more, sir.
So because of this training phase, you are
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Whether the answers, I mean, how quick the answers, whether the computation time, is it influenced by the type of pathology image that you consider?
Yes, sir. Not about the pathology image, sir. It is about the resolution of the images, sir. When the resolution of the images are very high, then the computational complexity is there. But once we go with the supervised methods, the training time will be more, whereas the testing time will be less. Once we do with the more number of images, accuracy level will also be more, sir. Though computational complexity is there, the accuracy level will be more when compared to the other methods, sir.
Okay. So it is not the type of input image that is matter.
No, sir. No, sir. It's not type of input image, sir. It is the type of the resolution of the image, sir. Quality of the image, sir.
Okay. So given an image of the same resolution for the various, for example, I have a DR image, I
Yes,
have
sir.
a AMD image,
Yes, sir.
and I have the hypertension, glaucoma, whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
If those images are of the same resolution,
Yes, sir.
the third approach
Will work better, sir. It will work better, sir. Even though the pathologies are different, the resolution of the image is same. So the training time will be the same for all the images, sir.
Okay. Your first approach is only for.
It is only for drive database sets. It is a very basic approach, sir. Starting.
Okay. Why can't you? What is the limitation of that approach? Why could it be extended to other type of conditions?
Yes, sir. Because the first method, it is only a morphological based method where I was not able to segment the wide vessels and thin vessels separately. Also, when I use this high resolution images, that is from DR Haggis database images, the complete one image, it has taken some 10 minutes to run the image, sir, because of the system.
Okay.
That is why.
So it's a very good work that you have chosen.
Thank you, sir.
Having some social and societal importance also. And
thank you, sir.
In the course of your presentation, you were telling about your objective also. It's a very good objective.
Thank you,
so,
sir.
I would like to appreciate your work, your presentation.
Thank you,
and I also would like to convey my appreciation to your supervisors.
Thank you, sir.
Gnanasegaran sir and Professor
Thank you,
Surendran
sir.
And Professor Surendran,
Sir, you can declare, sir.
you start, I will conclude. Or shall I proceed?
Yes, sir. Sorry, you can conclude, sir.
Okay. So with your permission, the subject expert, Professor Surendran from NIT Karaikal, Puducherry, the supervisors, Gnanasegaran and Professor Gnanasegaran sir and Professor Surendran madam. Today we had the Viovo's presentation of Mr. Santosh Krishna. The title of his thesis was Unsupervised and Supervised Retinal Vessels Extraction Methods from the fundus images. So today he presented his major findings for about an hour, more than an hour, and he has highlighted all the major findings. The slides were very informative. He has covered all the three proposed approaches. He has compared those approaches, and based on the presentation and based on the answers that he has given to the queries raised by the Indian examiner, foreign examiner, as well as the subject expert and the audience who were attending this PhD was on online. So on behalf of the panel of examiners and with the permission of Professor Surendran, I recommend the award of PhD degree to Mr. Santosh Krishna. So hereafter he will be called as Dr. Santosh Krishna. Congratulations, Dr.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And congratulations, sir, Professor Gnanasegaran sir and Surendran madam. And I would invite Professor Surendran to add a few words.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So Santosh Krishna, congratulations. And,
thank you, sir.
You have done a nice work and you have got good publications.
Thank you, sir.
So congrats, Dr. Santosh Krishna and his supervisors.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, you have very good publications with
Thank you, sir.
reputed journals and good impact factor. So I would like to, I would like you to pursue this research work further. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And,
Sure, sir.
incorporate other conditions
Yes,
and
sir.
as well as other methods, and
Yes, sir.
continue this good research work.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Professor Narasimhan, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you both examiners, Dr. Swaminathan and Dr. Surendran, sir, your comments and queries. Now I request Dr. Santosh Krishna to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I wish my complete wisdom and gratitude to my research supervisor, Dr. T. Gnanasekharan, sir, for his patience, guidance, and constant encouragement with my work during all the phases of my research. And I also thank management of RMK Engineering College, Muniratnam, sir, Chairman, Kishore, sir, Vice Chairman, Palaniswamy, sir, Advisor, and Mohammed Junaid, sir, Principal. And I also thank Dr. T. Sedukasi, ma'am, Professor and Head, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, RMK Engineering College, for your precious suggestions and moral support whenever I come to you, madam. And then I also thank Dr. Bose, sir, and Dr. C. Arun, sir, my DC expert members, for giving me all these suggestions whenever I required, whenever in the reviews, all the suggestions have been given by them. And I also express my sincere thanks to all the faculty members of RMK Engineering College. And I also express my deep gratitude to Dr. B. Sridevi, ma'am, Elements of Technology, and my present HOD, sir, Dr. Sanjeev Sharma from New Horizon College of Engineering, for their support. And I also thank my thankfulness to my beloved parents and my beloved wife, for her sustained and unfailing love and support during my pursuit of doctoral degree. And the completion of this is possible because of her. And I thank all the members this, and I especially thanks to Swaminathan, sir, and Surendran, sir, for your special guide, for your special support and your positive queries, sir, suggestions, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh Krishna. It was very nice listening to your vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
sir. Thank you, everyone. That is the end of this examination. The request to our both examiners, Dr. Swaminathan, sir, and Dr. Surendran. So once the paperwork are over, I will send you. I need some of the details. I will get it from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Swaminathan, sir, and thank you, Surendran, sir. Thanks a lot. Congratulations, Dr. Santosh.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Wish you all the best, and you have to start your research work.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All the best. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to Dr. Santosh Krishna.
Thank you, Bhaskar, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Santosh Krishna, your PH work is hereafter is going to be continued.
Yes,
please
sir.
concentrate work towards the research work.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yes.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Professor Gnanasekharan, sir, Professor, shall I leave the meeting, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Madam, we close, madam.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Surendran.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Nice meeting you, Professor Surendran. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I think this is the first time we are meeting, sir.
Yeah, we are meeting this. Nice. Oh, thank you.
Nice to meet you, Surendran sir and Swaminathan sir. I'm seeing after a long time. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you, Professor Bhaskar.
Thanks a
Thank
lot
you.
to everyone joined. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gnanasekharan, sir, meeting close for me.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Santosh, we can close the meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.